Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the film Spider-Man No Way Home. Fun fact, Jon Favreau, who plays Happy in this movie, also played Foggy's best friend in the 2003 Daredevil film, and is also the person who pretty much started the MCU when he directed Iron Man 1. This movie came out in 2021 and stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jacob Batalon, and was directed by John Watts. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. No Way Home starts immediately after the events of Far From Home, with Spider Man being identified as Peter Parker and being blamed for the death of Mysterio. Peter Parker goes to Doctor Strange so that he can make everyone forget that Peter Parker and Spider Man are the same person. The spell goes wrong, and villains from other universes come, and Spider Man not only has to defeat these villains, but also send them back to their universe. The cast of this film is just great. Tom Holland has been in The Impossible, Zendaya was in Euphoria, Jacob Batalon was in Let It Snow, Benedict Cumberbatch was in Sherlock, Jon Favreau created The Mandalorian, Jamie Foxx was in Django Unchained, Willem Dafoe was in Aquaman, Benedict Wong was in Annihilation, Marissa Tomei was in My Cousin Vinny, J.K. Simmons was in Invincible, Andrew Garfield was in The Social Network, and Tobey Maguire was in The Great Gatsby. Please subscribe down below. No Way Home is an action movie mixed with some magic. If you like Spider Man, The Amazing Spider Man, or Doctor Strange, then I suggest that you try it out. No Way Home picks up exactly where Far From Home ends, with Spider Man's identity being revealed. I think that this is the first MCU movie that starts directly where the end credits scene left us, which is great because that end credits scene was a big game changer. It's crazy to see how everyone just believed Mysterio, like Spider Man didn't help save the world, which further proves how hard it is to be a superhero, because even if the world is against you, you have to do what's right. I thought this movie was going to be like Homecoming and Doctor Strange was going to be like a mentor, but we come to find out that that's not the case. I'm glad that they had Doctor Strange be a part of the story, but in a way that wasn't too overshadowing of Spider Man and his own story. Each Spider Man actor holds a special place in my heart, and I think that Tom is the best person to be playing him in the MCU. Tom really makes you feel for this character, considering his version of Spider Man is constantly losing people close to him. He also embodies Spider Man's teen like persona very well. It was sad to see Aunt May die because she was one of his biggest supporters. I feel like once you say the lines, with great power comes great responsibility, you are destined to die. I feel like Tom's version of Spider Man has known so much pain, with him, not only dealing with the death of Aunt May, but also he was the first person to see his mentor, Iron Man, die. At first, I was iffy about Marissa Tomei playing Aunt May, but I thought she did a great job, and I love how she is so protective and supportive of Spider Man. I love the relationship that Peter has with MJ and Ned. They are his ride or dies, and I love how they support him, and he cares so much for them. Zendaya and Jacob Batalon do a great job in these roles. Also, it was cool that Ned was able to use magic. I wonder if they'll explore this more in other movies, because I definitely want to learn a little bit more about, him learning to use magic or what that means for his character. Seeing Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe reminded me that they are some of the best superhero villains that we've seen on screen. They were able to ease back into these roles that they played years ago and did such a great job. One big surprise that I was hoping would happen and did happen was Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, being Peter's lawyer. This was exciting not only because it's an iconic character, but also because it proves that the characters from the Netflix series are being folded into the MCU. J.K. Simmons was funny as J. Jonah Jameson. I really enjoyed him jumping back into that role, and I thought in the original trilogy he fit that role perfectly, and I'm so glad that they brought him back for the role again because I wouldn't want anyone else to really play that role. The cinematography was great in this movie, and I love how it showed Spider Man all over New York. There was this one scene in which we see J. Jonah Jameson speaking on a giant billboard right after Aunt May dies, and he's talking about how bad of a person Spider Man is. And in this scene, it's raining, and it's just really cool because the shot kind of comes from behind Spider Man, but we see this giant billboard basically saying how, Spider Man is just such a criminal. But it's a really cool scene. It's raining, we get the lights from the billboard, and I really like that scene. And just like I was like in awe watching it during the movie because it was just such a beautifully shot scene. There were two end credit scenes at the end of this movie, and the end credit scene of the Multiverse of Madness little teaser trailer was great. I got to see my girl Wanda again. I'm really excited for that movie. But there was another one, and it was an end credit scene of Venom, and I felt like that one was a wasted opportunity. At the end of the second Venom movie, it seemed like he would either fight or at least have a conversation with Tom Holland's Spider Man, but he didn't even come up in the movie. And the end scene, which seemed like a wasted opportunity, basically he just was chit chatting about how, this world is different from his world. And then the Doctor Strange spell took effect and he went back to his world. And he left like a symbiote piece there, which is cool, but I really wanted their two characters to interact with each other. And I was a little let down that they didn't. The ending of this movie was sad because not only has Tom Spider Man lost so many people already, he gives up his remaining family to ensure that the universes don't collapse. The only cool thing about this is that he doesn't have the backing of Stark Technologies anymore, so that he has to make his own suit. And I think that the end product of that was really cool. And I felt that his suit in this moment kind of reflects a little bit more on his comic book counterpart, considering, that's something that's been iconic with Spider-Man is him making his suit. And now we finally get to see it, and it looks something, kind of out of the comic books. So I thought that it was cool that we not only got to see him making the suit, but also having a suit that's a little bit more comic book accurate. My favorite part of this film is when we get the reveal that we've been waiting for, which is the return of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield reprising their roles as their respective Spider-Mans. This scene made me realize how much I miss seeing them as Spider-Man because they were both great actors to don that role. I'm glad that it wasn't just a cameo and we got to see them interact with each other. And he had this like kind of bromance and also see them teaming up with Tom Spider Man to fight all of these villains. It was cool how we got to see some callback to some iconic things from Toby and Andrew's run as Spider Man. Toby Spider-Man gets stabbed while protecting, Tom Holland Spider-Man, which is reminiscent of his best friend Harry Osborn getting killed in Spider-Man 3 while trying to protect him from Venom. Andrew saves MJ, and her falling is very reminiscent of when Gwen Stacy dies. And you can tell that he knew in this moment that he needed to handle this situation a little bit differently because it didn't work out with Gwen Stacy. And then you see him save her, but then also get really emotional about it because you know that he's thinking that this is what happened with Gwen, and if he would have done it this way, he could have possibly saved her life. It was also interesting to see them have a whole conversation about, Toby Maguire's spider webs and how when he shoots his spider webs, they just come out of his arm compared to Tom and Andrew Spider Man who have to make their own spider webs, which is something that has been discussed heavily outside of the movies, but they definitely incorporated it into this movie. So you know that they've been paying attention to what, people have been talking about online. It was cool not only to have them be in this movie, but also to incorporate some, things that were from their movies into this movie. I feel like Spider Man No Way Home was made for Spider Man fans. There is so much nostalgia in this film, while also giving us a couple of surprises that we won't ever forget. The film is an emotional roller coaster and definitely one of my favorites of this year. If you have not seen Spider Man No Way Home, then you need to go and watch it. It is a great movie. It is amazing. Thank you for watching my video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you have not subscribed, please do so you can keep up to date with more of my videos. But besides that, everyone stay safe, have fun, and goodbye.